So tonight I'm going to read from my forthcoming book, Let's Call It Paradise. And I want to, before I do that, I just want to talk a little bit about it so I can give you a grounding in what it's all about. It is a look at our society through the lens of consumerism. And the overall technique that I used was collage poetry, but it's not all collage. There are a lot of composed texts. There are mixtures of composed text and collage, and I used sources from magazines, from journals, from the internet, from spam messages that I've collected. I used even pieces of paper I found in my coat pocket, and I created this manuscript, which fortunately has found a home. Um, and some of them actually cannot be, um, you cannot get the full effect from a recital, which is why I wanted to screen share because I wanted to show you some of the types of stuff that I have in this book. So if everybody can see my screen, you'll notice that in this poem, which I don't believe I'm reading tonight, there is a lot, it is highly enjammed. So much so that the last line um, with the word hand, the S is on the next page. That was kind of a mistake on the editor's part, but I loved it, so I told her to keep it. Um, and then this one, which is a spam, and again, some of these can't even be recited. This is not spam. There's a lot of these kind of rivulets of text that go through it that allow the reader to read in different directions and get different meanings. And then this one is kind of an interesting one because it's dealing, a lot of the stuff in this book deals with virtualization and computer language. And so this one, I started substituting ones and zeros for the O's and I's until at the end, if you look at here, it all becomes binary text, which is, of course, the code that, the way machines read code is through binaries. And then this one, and thus spoke Zarathustra, is a series of random numbers, and that leads into the chaos theory, which is something I don't really know much about, but it's kind of frightening. But that's that poem, and this is another one of those binary text poems. Um, and then this last one that I'm going to show you, I took one of the poems in the book and I converted it into a QR code, which used to work. For some reason, it does not anymore, but doesn't really matter. So that's kind of some of the stuff. So there are collage things and there are visual things going on through this book. So now that I've gone through that, I will start reading. I'm going to read you the opening poem, which is called Siren Song. And I think we're all familiar with the Greek mythological creatures, the sirens, which this alludes to. So here we go, Siren Song. And you will hear echoes of T.S. Eliot in this. Come, let us go now to a place beyond dreams. Let us arise and go now through the fond, murmuring streets, through the blind, stuttering boulevards, where siren song stills the air, where the minute's wheels wend our way to that elusive, rapturous bliss. Let us rush now, you and I, like the honeybee to its hive, to the merry, manic marmalade malls, to the towering halls of dithering tongues, to the glittering temples that mesmerize all, where those who seek know not what they crave, yet surrender to pipe and drum and sweet serenade. There in short shrift shall we find our solace, there cast offs to shores of grief and joy, like ghosts like waves dashed upon rock, will drift past glimmering galleons, covet the treasures of shipwrecked men, grope for beads, for baubles and gems, while all the while we sink and swim, swim and sink, and the siren's song sweetly dazzles our unsolaced souls. Come quickly now, submit at once to this hasty urge. Not greed nor grail shall accept one dram, nor glass render reason, nor brass surrender seasons. We cannot escape. Let gold and silver release their grasp, and jewels their hapless, jaded clasp. Yet snow shall not discharge, nor rain postpone the swift completion of our most sacred rounds. Hurry now, excuse me, hurry now, rise up, let desire trumpet the way. Let us in full fanfare not delay. Let serendipity draw us fast from these transient, abandoned alleys to the splendid golden valleys, where trees and grass defy the sky, where silken flowers in concrete lie. Let spouse nor child obstruct the way. The time has come to submit and pay. So you'll notice that there was quite a bit of rhyme in that poem, and I normally don't work in rhyme. In fact, in the DC area, I'm kind of known as the rhyme hater. But this next poem is fully rhymed. And actually, I had a fight with this poem because I didn't want it to rhyme, and I kept trying for it not to rhyme, and I just gave in, and it won. But it's kind of a little fun poem. It's called Hair. Let's talk about hair, 15-hour wear, without a tussle or a tear. Sometimes you just don't spare. Light and dreamy as air, through rain, sweat, and glare, even through your wildest affairs. Some things you just don't share. Time to remove the nair in downtown Buenos Aires. It's simply there, right straight through that frizzed up scare. So please don't stop and stare, or curl up, or otherwise care. It's nothing more than Matt Lumiere getting down right here in Times Square. So I'll get to something more serious now. Um, this is a poem that is kind of about, it's about historical, it's about biblical times, and it deals with widows' mites, which are coins that were not worth very much, but I guess they were given to people who were in need. The thing that you will not see here is that I'm using the word might, M-I-T-E, and the word might, M-I-G-H-T, interchangeably. And it's called When Jesus Praised a Widow. When Jesus praised a widow, a coin out of history was born. A story out of the Bible was a coin out of the Holy Land. A 2,000-year money-backed guarantee was born. Widow's mites, hand struck, hand manipulated, handed down, hand to hand. When you hold one, you're touching the hands of the apostles, touching a hand struck widow. You're touching a coin that passed through the hands of Jesus and the apostles, passed through the hands of time, a coin out of the Holy Land. You're touching a coin made of history through our direct connections to history, to a history of historic importance. Don't miss this historic opportunity. Don't wait another 2,000 years. Don't wait another amazing risk free opportunity. Might never come. Another might never come again. Another two widows for the price of one might never. That's why one widow's mites are among the mightiest mites collectors have ever coveted, have ever collectivated. Call now or order guaranteed. Call toll free. Order three. Order the complete set risk free. Only $59.95 plus shipping fee. Order more mites on a mighty spree. A once in a lifetime shot at eternity. More than 2,000 years of religious opportunity. And sticking with the biblical theme, this is a very old poem which I decided to include in this collection. I wrote this back in the 80s, I think. It's called A Guide to the Signposts in the Garden of Eden. 1. You are now entering the Garden of Eden. Fig leaves required past this point. 2. The management reserves the right to refuse admission to anyone. 3. Garden of Eden apples may be unsuitable for young children. Parental discretion is advised. 4. Warning, the tree of knowledge may be hazardous to your health. Pick at your own risk. 5. Please do not feed or annoy the snakes. 6. Only you can prevent hellfire. 7. Adam and Eve slept here. 8. Take home an original sin. For more information, call 1-800-666-EDEN. 9. The management is not responsible for lost souls. 10. You are now leaving the Garden of Eden. We hope you have enjoyed your visit. Please watch your step as you exit. There's a line missing. Steep, what does it say? I don't know. There's a line missing. Steep descent ahead. Please watch your step as you exit. Good thing I caught that. I'll have to tell the editor. Okay, here's her story. Let's face it, history wasn't made in a rearview mirror. For example, husbands, kids, nail polish, shoes. Statistically, you'll need to go back twice, as a matter of fact. So we've made it easier. We've made it bigger, better, more memorable, completely satisfactory. Now thicker, stronger, longer lasting, to deliver the desired results, to be smoother, more titillating, most confidential, to enhance the desired fragrance, to keep one of your hottest body parts smelling fresh, to love in New York without that hot garbage smell, to be or not to be. And that was the number two. To be as an apartment to be. Let's face it, her story wasn't made in a stained glass window. So put sex on your to-do list. Seduction guaranteed. Try it on us to receive the following benefits. Specialized consequences. The truth customized for you. So give it a shot, because love is a terrible thing to waste. Now what? I go somewhere else. Okay. In Vogue. Her scandalous past was revealed, cheating at last again, just weeks after completing sex rehab. The chemistry took a private turn, a short jump, landing her into a hornet's nest of hominid hanky-panky. I have come to treat this like an elusive family member, she said. Here I am a woman, but not the right kind. Affected by obesity, every organ impacted by obesity, a double standard approved by right-wing extremists, imprimated by white-ring extremists. So she took to Twitter. She cradled an adorable baby while canoeing. She hung unflinchingly with a handsome, blond-haired man. Huge, brave, not your typical scribble scrabble, not your usual mishmash. It was no ordinary family outing. There was the customary dilation. There were feats of unbridled abortion. There was contraction and extraction, and through it all, a relationship that appeared and disappeared. Which leads me to my impoverished shape, my naked heart, my 25-year-old matter of sacred amusement. We don't need more bakeries. We don't need more bread and pastry. We don't need more mini burgers and galas galore. We need soup. We need organic seasonal foods. We need bowls of raisins seasoned with recycled honey. We need a vogue moment in which to advocate a word for evaluating treatment. Stir fried breadcrumbs. I kept asking myself, should I really do this? Stir fried breadcrumbs in a skillet for 12 minutes? After all, I'm warm and sensitive, and besides, without your minced words, well, I need someone to raise the heat a little. Someone random and spontaneous and easy to get along with. So on Saturday morning, after waking up dead, I went to the store. Now, as you know, life is short, so I purchased 8 pounds of ground beef, 11 pounds of lamb cubes, and 18 pounds of whole turkey. When I returned home, it was 10 o'clock. I could tell because I'm a good listener. Well, there's no need to dwell on the past. So, after marinating all day, I figured, why not give this a try? So at exactly 5 p.m. on January 29th, 2006, in the year of our discord, I immediately set the meat aside and began adding oil to the wok. I stir-fried a gaggle of garlic cloves. Every now and then I would add onions, shallots, parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme, anything I could find just to show I can be a true friend. Then I remembered your reserved brown eyes, your easy frame, and your 50 pairs of sexy shoes, and I knew it was time to add the breadcrumbs. Well, I struggle with this town, and women really are a different breed of person. My job keeps me busy, and I'm always sitting in traffic. I just like to be with someone who is non-judgmental, translucent, someone I can love and figure out and not just strain off and set aside as optional. So there you have it, the encapsulation of my existence. One leftover tablespoon of tomato paste, a pan full of burnt breadcrumbs, and a missing sprig of coriander leaves. Now, what do you say? Let's lower the heat and simmer for a while. And if you still like to laugh and eat and find my ingredients suitable to your taste, come back and let's see what happens. I'm going to read a poem called Mouse Therapy. This is actually a real thing that I discovered. But the thing I want to tell you is that there are three poems that follow in this book that follow the exact same format of this poem. One of them is Mouse Therapy, one of them is Sex Therapy, and one of them is X Therapy. I'm going to read you Mouse Therapy. You may wonder sometimes, is mouse therapy right for me? After all, human anti-mouse antibodies have been linked to extreme fluctuations in blood pressure. This may relieve symptoms at times, but then this is a no one-size-fits-all therapy. How does the literature account for this? How do researchers distinguish between normal rodent colonization and rodent radicalization? Some scientists look at this like an electrical switch. One is on, zero is off. The chicken or the egg, your money or your life. So what is the most important information I need to know? Is mouse-based therapy right for everyone? What are the risks? Are there any alternatives? Did I do something wrong? Why me? Rest assured, you're not alone. 1.1% of patients, 9% of sufferers, 55% of respondents, 80% of those surveyed, 99.9% of most people have the same questions. So, ask your doctor if mouse based therapy is right for you. If you plan on having mouse based therapy, or if mouse based therapy is something you wish to explore, seek a medical opinion first. Don't engage in mouse based therapy if you have a serious allergic reaction to mice, a serious rodent problem, a cat. The most common side effects of mouse based therapy are nocturnal gnawing, diurnal droppings, cheese cravings, rapid reproduction, infestation, fear of cats. Some people are prone to mice like symptoms after having mouse based therapy. For more information, see your healthcare provider or visit our website because a mouse is a terrible thing to waste. So I'm not sure if everybody knows what a glottal stop is. It is something in linguistics, um, which I'm not really going to go into. But basically, this next poem, I wanted to write a poem where every word in the poem started with a glottal stop, and in which case it's actually a vowel. So every poem in this, um, every word in this poem starts with a vowel, uh, which of course is you have to pronounce with a glottal stop. And that's why it's called glottal stop poem. If only Eddie and Irene at once ejected all our emerald apples. And oh, Eddie and Irene in electronic automobile, unoccupied, except Eddie and Irene accelerating away and away, Eddie and Irene and us abandoned on our asses. Isn't it ironic, after all our esteemed arguments, after all our extreme opinions, Eddie and Irene eating all our appetizing apples, accelerating away and away, offering us enough of an inkling, only after accelerating alacritus and away. Oh, audacious Eddie and Irene, ingesting all our expensive apples. Eddie and Irene, oh, and us, eventually, unable, in our anger, unable and unalert. I and us abandoned altogether on our extremely unathletic asses. And the last poem I'm going to read, actually, I have two more. So the second to the last poem is called Mandatory Arguments. Every day, armies of tiny robots zigzagged through the streets, managed by manipulation, imprisoned by manipulation. Legs, propellers, cameras, a full battalion of wireless guidance systems. Heading north, heading straight up the enslaved streets, the incarcerated boulevards, heading full throttle in strange convolutions of electronic loopiness. I did not acknowledge this strange realization at first, as I was really frustrated at the time, really regretting the messianic madness, the packet privatization, the consumable colonization that pervades our 64-bit device-laden computerized society. A whole fractious world reminiscent of the way a car works, but more insidious. The way a pill jumps up on the screen, but more infectious. The way a tablet renders, swiping this way and that until they access, analyze, accessorize your entire body. Until you swallow the computer chip lock, stock, and barrel like a gram of salt. Which is not to say that mandatory arguments are a bad thing at all. There I sat on the toilet, augmented by reality, a prime victim of televised reality, of a regrettable reality, a radicalized realization made up entirely of ingestible ingredients, genetically modified mammals, and three-person babies, of human anti-mouse antibodies and antidotes, medical care turned inside out. And then my epiphany. We were born in this land, a source of super profits, a tiny volume of filamentary material, amazing, bioparabolic, undervalued, all in the name of capitalization, commoditization, expansion, maximization of unfettered feats of micro marketization. You asked me how we came to this, how sporting a patch became fashionable, how the efficacy of human eggs and embryos became so implantable, became so consumable, that you and your partner can now participate in 24/7 reproduction, in cognitive impairment and reparation, in same day discrepancy and delivery, in consequences customized just for you. How you and your doctor can now prophesy extreme fluctuations in germline genetics. Which brings me to my impoverished conscience, my unsolaced heart, my 62-year-old matter of rapturous amusement. Jesus was a prophet. God never actually died, and magic never was always never really ever afoot. Because history wasn't made in a rearview mirror. Because the future isn't mirrored in a stained glass window. Because the present is a randomization of particles and electrons and multimedia presentations. Because the past is a collection of hand-struck stories, of recycled marmalade, of polyexethane, polysorbate, of approximate infinity in an otherwise finite world. A polyphonous winner, the most important gainer in a micro-monolithic market. Which reminds me of another breakthrough I recently discovered. X multiplied by X does not equal E multiplied by XY. 39-Y equals 85,306. 22,400 equals 04037. The world is a default paragraph, and we are nothing but a blank page. And the last poem, this is a composed poem, is called The Path to Eternal Happiness. Make a left at the turn in the next century. Keep going until you come to a crook in the road. There'll be a patch of wildflowers on the right, and Godot will be waiting at the gate. Shout Hallelujah 3 times. Take 2 aspirin and rest in peace. Thank you.